Welcome along to another video. Good to see you again. In this video, I'm going to talk all about a great GitHub resource, which is the Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one deployment kit. This is really wonderful. Before we get to that though, I'm just going to remind you as ever to click the subscribe button. As I record this, I'm on 4,969 subscribers. By the time you watch this, hopefully I will have hit that magic 5,000 subscribers that I've been looking for. What a milestone. I can't believe the journey this channel's been on. It's all thanks to you and your support. Thanks to my subscribers. Thanks to my members. But let's get to the content that you're here for. Let's take a look at this Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one deployment connector. So to get started, we need to be on this github.com page, and this is the Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one repository. We can see that this has been kindly produced by Gary Bushy, so a big thank you to him. There's some versions in there, version 1, version 2. There's a README doc where you can find out all about this and what it is, what it does. But let's have a little bit of a read before we try and deploy this to my Azure environment. What does it do? Well, Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one is aimed at helping customers and partners to quickly set up a full-fledged Microsoft Sentinel environment that is ready to use. Fantastic. This is awesome. This is what people are going to be wanting to save them time and effort. So this is going to speed up deployment and initial configuration tasks in a few clicks, saving time and simplifying the setup. Version 2, there are two versions of Sentinel all-in-one, 1 and 2. There are two flavors, PowerShell and Azure Resource Manager. Version 2 only has Azure Resource Manager support for now, and this page reflects version 2, but you can find the previous version in the V1 folder that you can click on here. What does it do? This is the important part. Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one automates the following task. It's going to create for you a resource group. It's going to create a log analytics workspace. It's going to install Microsoft Sentinel on top of that workspace. It then sets the workspace retention, the daily cap and commitment tiers if desired. It enables UEBA with the relevant identity providers, so that's Azure AD, or more appropriately now Microsoft Entra, and or Active Directory. It's going to enable health diagnostics for analytics rules, data connectors, and automation rules. It will install Content Hub solutions from a predefined list in 3 categories: first party, essentials, and training. And it's going to enable data connectors from this list here. So Azure AD, so Microsoft Entra ID, let's correctly call that. And with the ability to select which data types will be ingested. It's going to give us Microsoft Entra ID identity protection. It's going to give us Azure activity from the current subscription, Dynamics 365, Microsoft 365 Defender, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, Insider Risk Management, Power BI, Microsoft Project, and Office 365, and threat intelligence platforms. And it enables analytics rules, scheduled, and NRT in the selected Content Hub solutions with the ability to filter by severity, and enables analytics rules again, scheduled, and NRT that use any of the selected data connectors with the ability to filter by severity. We've got some prerequisites. What do we need in order to be able to use this? We are going to need, obviously, an Azure subscription. Well, I've got one of those ready to go. We're going to need an Azure user account with enough permissions to enable the desired connectors. It refers us here to the table at the end of this page, where we can see there on the supported connectors for additional permissions needed. Write permissions to the workspace are always needed. And we're going to need some data connectors that require the relevant license in order to be enabled. Obvious, yeah, and we can refer to the table to see what those requirements are for those data connectors and their licenses. It's deployed really simply from this Deploy to Azure button, and we can try it right now. But before we do that, let's just have a look at the supported connectors in this table. What is supported for it and what are the licenses needed? So Microsoft Entra ID, tenant scope version only. Any Microsoft Entra ID license is going to be fine for that. Permissions, we're going to need global admin or security admin. the cost here. It tells us, is this build, is it free? So very important to keep track of the costs. And I'll not drain this table, I'll not read them all out, you can read it for yourself, but these are all of the data connectors, the required license, the permissions needed, and the cost associated to it. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let's give it a try, shall we? So before we start, I'm just going to show you that I'm logged in already to the Azure portal. I'm logged in as a global administrator. I'm into the Microsoft Sentinel dashboard in my tenant. I already have 2 instances of Sentinel deployed here. I'm deliberately not going to delete those instances. I could do, but I'm going to leave them where they are. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the deploy button on the GitHub page and see what happens and how it gets deployed. So let's go to it. Let's click on deploy to Azure and get us going with this process. What happens? It takes us right into the custom deployment. It's showing me my lovely remaining credits available there. Right, what do we want to do? We are doing a custom deployment and we're going to go through all of the steps here. We've got a customized template. We can edit that. We can edit the parameters. We can visualize it. What's it telling us here? Microsoft Sentinel all-in-one deployment. See more information about this project here. That's probably going to take us right back to the page we were on. Project details. Deploying templates at subscription scope enables scenarios like applying policies and assigning roles at the subscription level. Subscription scope deployments are also used for creating resource groups and deploying resources on it. You can change the deployment scope by updating the schema in the template. So we've got to choose our subscription. So I can choose between my access to Azure AD or my Visual Studio Enterprise. Come on, Microsoft, get the naming changed by now. You've had enough time. We'll select Visual Studio Enterprise here for this deployment. Okay, location details. Where do I want the instance to be deployed? Well, I'm in the UK, so I'm going to select something appropriate to me. I'll go for UK West. That's going to be the nearest to where I am. Resource group name. Well, we are creating a brand new resource group here. So let's just call it Sentinel RG. We'll keep it nice and simple. A workspace name, so we're going to need a workspace name to include 4 to 63 letters, digits, or other characters. The dash shouldn't be the first or the last symbol. Interesting to know. Well, let's just give it a workspace. Let's go workspace Sentinel. I'm never sure if things like spaces or not, so I always keep spaces out just in case. I can set a daily ingestion limit in gigabytes. Enter 0 for no limit. Okay, well, I'll leave it at 0 for now because chances are I'm going to wipe this and redemo it many times in different circumstances, but be sure that you are careful and diligent and certain what your ingestion limits are going to be for this instance, because you could burn up your Azure spend quite quickly if you're not careful. Number of days of retention, 90 days is set there as standard. Select pricing tier for Sentinel and Log Analytics. So we have the option here for pay as you go, or you can select a commitment tier and select from the available tiers that are available to you. I'll keep this as pay as you go, and let's go to next. What is next here? We have settings. So please select which settings you would like to enable in your Microsoft Sentinel environment. We can enable user entity behavior analytics, or UBA, global admin or security admin permission required. So let's check on that. Select which identity providers will be synchronized with UBA. So we can choose all, or Azure AD, or Entra ID, or Active Directory, which will require Microsoft Defender for identity, which makes sense, obviously. So I'm going to select just Azure AD, or Entra ID as I should call it. Do I want the Sentinel Health Diagnostics enabled? Yes, I do. I think I'll go for that. All seems good to me. Let's go for next. Okay, next stage. We need to select which solutions we want to install to your Microsoft Sentinel environment. So solutions may contain different content types like data connectors, analytic rules, parsers, workbooks, playbooks, hunting queries, etc., etc. So first we have to choose the Microsoft Content Hub solutions that we wish to install. So we can drill down here and see what we've got. Which do I want? So this is derived from the table at the bottom of the GitHub page that we saw earlier on, and we can choose which we want to deploy. So I'm going to go for Azure AD. I'm going to go for Azure Activity. Dynamics isn't relevant to me. It might be to you, but I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go Microsoft 365. You can select Defender for Cloud. I'm not sort of multi-cloud instance in this situation, so I'll not tick that one. I will go for Defender for Endpoint. IoT, not so relevant to me in this demo, in this pretend environment. Insider risk management, yes, I'll go for that. I'll not go for BI or project. Teams, definitely. And threat intelligence, definitely, yes, please. So I've made my selections. Next, select the Essentials Content Hub solutions that we want to install. What do we want here? We can have Attacker Tools, Threat Protection Essentials, which contains security content that is relevant for detection of tools commonly used by attackers. Yeah, sounds good. Cloud Identity, Threat Protection Essentials. So we can choose what we want here. SOC Handbook, so let's select that one as well. I'll not select everything here, just to give you the flavor that you can pick and choose what you want. And then finally, select the Training and Tutorials Content Hub solutions to install. So there are KQL training options there, or Training Lab options. The KQL training solution for Sentinel contains resources that can help upskill on understanding the fundamentals and using KQL in advanced scenarios, like authoring effective and optimized queries used in Sentinel analytics, hunting queries, workbooks, etc., etc. Let's have that. Sounds good. Training Lab. Microsoft Sentinel Training Lab helps you get ramped up with Microsoft Sentinel, providing hands-on practical experience for product features, capabilities, and scenarios. Sounds ideal. Let's say yes, please to that. Great. We're powering through this wizard. Next, data connectors. Select which data connectors you want to configure in the Sentinel environment. What do we want? What do we want to pull data from? I certainly want it from Azure AD. I certainly would like identity protection, Azure Activity. We'll go for 365 Defender. We'll go for risk management. We'll go basically for the same settings that we chose in one of the previous steps, and exclude some things that are not particularly relevant. Okay, that's good. Let's go next. Analytics rules. Please select which analytics rules you would like to enable in your Microsoft Sentinel environment. So we've got one checkbox here, enable scheduled alert rules for selected Content Hub solutions and data connectors. Sounds good to me. Let's click the checkbox there and select the severity of the rules to enable. So we can choose all, or high, or medium, low, informational. I think they're guiding us here to go for high and medium, so we're not overloading our Sentinel environment here and getting too much to process. Marvelous. I think that looks good. Let's go next to the review and create stage. And we're just getting some, by clicking to create, I agree to the applicable legal terms, blah, 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 blah. And we're getting a summary of what we've chosen there, the solutions, the settings, the connectors, the rules. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and click on create. It's initializing and submitting the deployment. It's in progress. Workspace creation is going, looking good. So let's let it do its stuff. We'll pause here and we'll come back when it's finished. So after about 15 minutes, I've got a deployment failed message, which is slightly upsetting. And it was on enable data connectors. We've got a conflict, an error, which I've opened. And it's telling me that the license is invalid. A code invalid license. It's not telling me which license is invalid. I've got 3 of those. So 3 of the data connectors that I've selected, it's thinking I don't have a valid license for, which actually, come to think of it, on this tenant, I always get 2 of my tenants confused. This does actually have lesser permissions than my other tenant, which has full E5 on there. So I'm going to go back. Let's have a look at this raw error. Does it tell us any more in here? I'm going to go back and I'm going to deselect the ones that I think are causing this to fail because of the license, and I'm going to hit that redeploy button. And this time we are successful. You can see here my deployment is complete. I've got my deployment name, I've got my subscription name, deployment steps. This is what it went through. It deployed the connectors, the solutions and alerts, the settings, the workspace creation, and the resource group. Now, when I went back and hit redeploy, I was able to edit the line by line, the connectors and solutions that I included, and I removed the ones that I'm not licensed for on this tenant. Always remember which tenant you're on is a key tip from me that I can now attest to. And I took out Defender for Endpoint, and I also took out some threat protection and what was the other thing? Information rights management, so PRV&x content, which I don't have on this tenant. So I hit redeploy, didn't like that again anyway. So what I did was, and I won't include all this in the video because it was just repetitive stuff, I went and deleted the workspace that I created and the resource group that I created. I started the process again, excluded the things that I wasn't licensed for. I called the resource group and the workspace name exactly the same as before, but I added a 1 to the end of each, as you can see here, Sentinel RG1 there, just in case it hadn't quite deleted it from everywhere around my Azure subscription. I didn't want it to fail again, so I gave it the same name, but just added a 1 on the end. But all successful. So let's have a look. What have we got? It's telling us next steps. It's telling me to go to subscriptions. So there we go. Well, that's all well and good. But I want to be in Sentinel. Let's have a look in Sentinel and refresh the page. I should now see a new workspace in there if things have gone correctly. And indeed, yes, I do. Workspace Sentinel 1. I can click onto this and get into Sentinel, and I can just collapse that side panel. And I'm obviously not going to have any incidents or anything like that in the overview page just yet. But what I should be able to see is if I go down into data connectors, I should have a bunch of data connectors in there, which are good to go. So what's this telling me here? So Azure Active Directory is now Entra. Yeah, we know about that. Data connector with content source equals gallery content have been removed. All the removed content and more is available on Content Hub. Click here to reinstate in-use content source template. Okay, that's fine. So I've got Azure activity in there. I've got Microsoft 365 in there as well in my data connectors. I did set up some analytics also. So we've got some content in there relating to what we've asked that to create for us. Have we got any workbooks? I don't think it created workbooks for us, but we can do all the same things within Sentinel that we can do in any other Sentinel instance. But I'm sure you'll agree that if you have enough licenses to select all of the correct features, then you can get things up and running very, very quickly, rather than having to go through the process of doing all this sort of thing manually, as I've had to do in some other tenants. Well, not other tenants, but other workspaces, shall we say, because you saw I had 2 other workspaces in here, and I've been in, I've configured those manually. This does it all for you. You're good to go. You can go in, and once it's there, you can tweak it and make it exactly how you want it. But this is a really good start that gets you going really quickly. I think you'll agree. Some nice content in here about the MITRE ATT&CK framework, actually, which was the subject of my previous video. So we can see here, this is a preview feature. Look, we've got lots of information here about techniques relating to the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and you can view the full techniques on the official MITRE ATT&CK site. So nice little relation to the previous video, which is always good. Oh, and one last thing is the Content Hub under the Content Management section. We did ask the deployment to configure items relating to Content Hub as well, you'll recall. And we can see here in the Content Hub, we see all of the solutions selected. We can see we've got 6 installed. This is great. So I can go into status and I can filter this by installed. I can click on apply, and there we go. I've got all of that content that I asked to install. I asked for Azure Activity, which is great. So I can click on that one there, and it's giving me a flyout panel there on the right, showing me the description and what it does. Enables you to ingest Azure Activity, Administrative Security, Service Health, Alert, Recommendation, blah, 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 etc., into Sentinel. Related data connectors, workbooks, analytic rules. And from here in this selection, we can click to manage that, or we can go into actions. We can reinstall or delete it. If we click on manage, we go into the full page for that. And within, what have we got? We've got 29 installed content items. We've got 14 with configuration needed. So what we can do is go through each of these, and we'll see that we've got some warning triangles on some of these. So if we click on that, we can open the connector page. We can see that it's disconnected. So if we go into that particular connector, we can go through and troubleshoot why that's not connected. So what we need to do is to integrate with Azure Activity, make sure you've got a workspace, read and write permissions, policy, owner role assigned for each policy assignment scope, subscription owner role permission on the relevant subscription. I'm pretty sure that I don't have those, so there we go. That might be why we're not getting that. So what we need to do is go through this Azure policy assignment wizard and connect all of those requirements. I'll not do that because I think that's probably a little bit dull and laborious, and you can get through that quite easily, I would have thought. But there you go. That is the Content Hub. It doesn't remember my filter when I go back, which is slightly annoying, but you can see all of the great stuff we've got in there. M365, we can take a look at that one as well and review all of that content in there. And again, we can reinstall or delete. We can go and manage it. And again, we've got some that need configuring, but if we scroll down, others are absolutely appropriate and need no configuration. So lots of great stuff that can get ingested right into your Sentinel instance with this wonderful all-in-one Sentinel, which is very customizable as you go. Love it. And there you go. What an absolute great piece of technology that's going to save you all a lot of time setting up Sentinel manually to connector by connector. It's very time consuming. This gives you that little bit of a head start, which is absolutely wonderful. Makes it really easy. If you're not licensed for something, it's not going to let you add it either, which is something I found out the hard way, as you will have seen. So there you go. Let me know what you think of this. Have you used it? Have you had any issues with it? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I always love to hear from you. Right, let's wind up the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the content. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Learn, share, and repeat, as always. And I will see you on another video very, very soon. Bye-bye.